All right. So welcome to the Sales Cure, How to Become a Killer Closer. This is called How to Close 10x More Deals with a Proven Sales System. Today we have Julia Pimsler, founder and chief empowerista at Million Dollar Women. She's a mindset expert and a scaling coach. And I am Joe Applebaum, CEO of Ajax Union, a social selling expert. So we're going to get right into it. What are the ABCs of sales? Like I don't know, has anybody ever read or watched this movie called Glenn Gary? I think it's called Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross, right? Is that what it's called?
Yes, such a classic.
If you guys haven't watched this movie, it's totally worth watching because it's all the ways that in today's selling environment, you're not going to be able to close deals by doing the things that they teach in there. But the bottom line is they think that always be closing, always be closing, always be closing, and there's no sales process behind always be closing. The reality is you need to have some type of sales process. So what I first want to know is, what is your biggest challenge when it comes to sales right now? Because we're here to add value to you today. So in the chat box, I know many of you are here because you want to sell. Some of you are selling products. Some of you are selling services. But I want to know, what is your number one challenge when it comes to sales? I remember when I just started, before I was working at Ajax Union full time, my biggest challenge was that I was selling everything to everybody, and I wasn't really even sure what I was selling. I really wasn't sure. So that could be a big issue for some people, not being sure what you're selling. But if you're really clear on what you're selling and you have a great product and you believe in your product, the question is, what is your challenge? So Meredith says clients with no money. John said finding the right prospects, outreach, and getting started. So
sometimes people say, Joe, sometimes people say qualifying leads. That can be a big challenge. Sometimes people say it's talking about the pricing. Sometimes people say it's, if they're very self-aware, that it's their own mindset, right? That they know they don't like sales and that that's getting in the way of selling. What kinds of things do you hear from your coaching clients, Joe, about why selling's not working for them?
Well, for them, often they don't even know why it's not working. They're like, it should be working. I have a good product. I have a good service. And for some reason, people say, I'll think about it. That's what I often hear a lot. People say, I'll think about it. I'll think about it. I'll think about it. I'll think about it. And it just doesn't happen. Goldie said qualifying.
Where do you go from there? Absolutely. And then I also hear people say, sometimes I close and sometimes I don't. And I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing right when I do close and what I'm doing wrong when I don't.
Right. Olga said, I don't know what I'm doing. I worked as an accountant for 10 years and I'm just out of my realm with sales. Jan said, qualified leads with appointment meetings. Cool. That's awesome. All right. So
these are great responses. These sound like all the things that you and I have both been hearing from our clients for quite some time, and that the Sales Cure was set up to address. So we've got the right people in the right place with the right systems to help them.
Now, when it comes to sales, I know that Tony Robbins talks a lot about sales in general, and every mindset coach, every person who basically is teaching people how to do sales is always talking about mindset. Why is mindset so important when it comes to sales, Julie? And you are a mindset expert. You actually traveled around the world learning how to set up your own mindset and to help women with their mindsets. So tell me what mindset, people don't love hearing about that.
So I'm a trained NLP coach. NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. It's kind of like a very fast action type of psychotherapy where you can get people to make changes really quickly. But it's also used a lot in sales techniques, NLP. Some of you might have heard of it. In fact, put it in the chat if you've heard of NLP. You might want to Google it later because it's pretty interesting. So when I got trained as a master practitioner in NLP, we learned that all of our behavior is driven by our mindset, which is not surprising if you've read even one mindset book. Usually the first concept that you'll encounter is that thoughts become things. So if your thoughts about sales are, I feel pushy when I'm selling, or I'm not good at this, or I feel out of my league, any of those kind of negative thoughts will directly impact how you sell and your ability to close. Now, it's not the only thing you need to get right, but it's the first big thing you need to get right is the mindset.
Cool. So a lot of people have heard NLP. It stands for neuro-linguistic programming, right?
Yes, put it in the chat in case people want to Google it. It's pretty interesting. Olympic athlete coaches use it. Presidents use it. Any high-achieving people are often using these methods that NLP teaches.
Cool. And so what do you think, like when it comes to sales, there are people out there that have certain thoughts in their head that are standard thoughts that they're not even aware about. So when I'm training people on sales in general, I ask them, when it comes to sales, what do you think about? What do you think? What is the words that come up in your head right away, that bubble up in your head? I was talking to a young man, and we were playing basketball together, and I said, when you miss the basketball, what is the first thought that comes in your head? You know what he said, Julia? He said, my bad, or terrible, or I'm embarrassed, or I'm ashamed, or I suck, or I can't believe I'm this bad. And
So
people
much
have,
negative self-talk. Wow.
yeah. And so how are you supposed to succeed? How are you supposed to actually get it in or even try and be motivated if you're going to have those thoughts in your head? So I'm curious to know what the thoughts that people have. Tammy said, that's what comes into my head. My chest immediately tightens. I get major anxiety and a huge fear of rejection. By
And
the
that
way,
is so common. I hear that a lot. Thank you for sharing that, Tammy, because I'm sure so many people feel that same way.
so a lot of people, when I say what is the first thought that enters to sales, they say sales is not for me, or I hate rejection, or only talented salespeople succeed at sales, or I'm not as, or they just make noise. They're like, right?
I want to hear you say that. How do you say USHGHGH?
It's just a noise.
I would have said Ashkaga.
Right, Eshtika. And so
It's usually not woohoo sale,
right.
right? It's not like let me get out there and talk to 30 more people and maybe one of them will say yes.
I don't know about you, Julia, but I used to really not enjoy sales as much as I enjoy it today. Today I enjoy it more than ever now that I have the tools, now that I have the mindset, now that I have the skills that I need in order to be successful. Do you believe that anybody can actually enjoy sales even if they have that drenching fear of the chest tightening and the rejection and all that stuff? Do you feel like anyone could really do it? Because you've trained a lot of women.
Those are the people I love to work with the most because you get to see that full transformation. The truth is, if you know anybody in your life who has something that you don't have that you would like to have, maybe it's that they're good at sales. Maybe it's that they make $500,000 more a year than you. Maybe they have a happier love life than you. Anything you see that someone else has, it's really just a result in their life. And it stems from their thoughts, which then become beliefs, which have emotions attached to them, which lead you to take action, and then you get results. And this is something we teach in the Sales Cure, but I'm just giving a little glimpse here, that we can absolutely transform how people feel about just about anything using these mindset techniques so that you can start loving sales, because if you have the same thoughts as people who love sales, you will actually love sales more.
Cool. So in order for you to improve your mindset and thrive in sales, what needs to happen? Like obviously taking a course that will help you do that will enable you, but really what is the shift that needs to happen? You mentioned taking action.
Yes.
That's the shift, because people are just not taking action. I know that when I'm afraid of something, I end up not doing something. So what are you guys not doing? I'm curious to know. What are people not doing when their mindset tells them that sales is bad or sales is difficult? I know for me, I end up cleaning my desk a lot instead of doing sales.
I love it. Yeah, or sometimes people will, go change their website a bunch of times, right? Like, I just need to fix the website instead of actually sending out the emails or setting up the calls to do sales.
Sarah says she cleans a lot. Krista said not calling, doing anything else. Olga said I clean too. Anna says
I take a lot of webinars. Well, this is one webinar that doesn't count for that, but I know what you mean.
Totally. I remember that the day that I realized that this thing called procrastination was something that only existed because I didn't have the system and process of how not to procrastinate. My mind was blown, because I always thought that I was a procrastinator. I always thought that I was the person that just pushed everything off because that's my personality and there's something wrong with me. There's something broken with me. But the reality is, you can have, like Julia said earlier, if you want something, there's a system and a process to get anything that you want. So first of all, you need to have the mindset to even implement the systems and process. But thinking about not just the mindset, but also then you need what Julia calls is the skill set to be able to actually succeed doing sales. So Julia, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. And funny enough, you won't even go try to get the skill set until you get the mindset right. And the fact that you're all on this call today is a great sign, because I would say 99% of people who hate selling haven't even gotten to the place where they're willing to say, hey, I'm not good at this. Maybe they don't hate it, but maybe they're just not as good at it as they want to be. So the first step is saying, maybe there's another way of approaching this, and doing webinars like these. So congratulations to everyone for starting in that place. The second thing is to figure out, okay, maybe I'm not having a ton of success with this, but that doesn't mean that there aren't other people who are. So like Joe and I love selling. I've sold over $20 million worth of product. Joe's probably sold about the same. So we have systems and processes that we can teach you that once you have the mindset shifts, you will actually start to implement. So you're on a good path here.
So I want to know where most people go wrong when it comes to sales, because it seems like everything's going right. You get the person on the phone, you're having a conversation, it sounds like they're interested, but they don't close, right? They don't close. We've all had that in the past. How many people here have recently lost a deal? Like, tell me if you've when did you recently not close a deal? When was the last time you actually had a conversation? What, did it happen this week? Did it happen last week? When was the last time you had a conversation? Moshe said 3 weeks ago that didn't close. And what went wrong? What do you think went wrong? Julia, what do you see that goes wrong most of the time when it comes to people not actually closing sales?
Well, I see three things getting in people's way as the big, what I call the three deadly sins. So one of them is that they did not properly qualify the lead. So that's something that we always work on with our coaching clients, is how do you make sure you're talking to the right person? You know, I'll never forget when I was at Little Pim, my language teaching company, and I spent 3 months negotiating this deal that was going to be a game changer for our business, like $200,000 deal. Got to the night before, Joe, and the guy I was in touch with emailed me. I was like, I am really sorry, but I was just talking to my boss about this, and he is pulling the plug on this deal. And I was devastated. That deal did not go through, but it taught me a really important lesson, which is you always have to have a system for finding out, is this person actually someone who can be closing, right? So that is one of the first things, is properly qualifying the lead. And there's a few ways of doing that we teach in Sales Cure. The second deadly mistake we see people make is that they approach the sales meeting in what I call the old way of selling. And you showed that funny clip from Glenn Ross. The truth is, just like digital marketing changes, just like everything on the internet changes, the way we sell today has changed. And the methods that were used up until very recently just don't work as well anymore. In fact, mostly they don't work at all. So think about the last time you walked into a store and you wanted to buy a pair of pants or a dress or a skirt. If someone came running up to you and was like, look, we just got these pants in and they're so awesome and you should go try them on right now. I'm going to set up a room for you. Or, you know, look at these 3 dresses. Which one do you want? You'd probably be like, whoa, I'm just looking. You know, like nobody wants that kind of selling. And yet that is what the old selling methods are. So the second big mistake I see people making is they're just not trained in the new ways of selling. That's why I went out and got trained in them. And I'm so excited to share these methods now with hundreds and thousands of people so that they can sell in the new ways that work. And the last and the third thing that I see happening a lot is that they do things pretty well right up until the conversation about money. And when that conversation starts, the whole thing goes south and they lose the deal. Either because they don't know how to handle objections or they're not confident about their pricing. And again, this all goes back to the training. Just because you feel uncomfortable in those moments, if you're watching this webinar saying, oh yeah, I've been there. I've been in those meetings where I feel really good about it. I know that I'm presenting my products or services like a pro. And then we get to the end and they start asking all these tough questions. And then it's a, well, we'll think about it, which then becomes a, well, we don't answer your email, which then becomes a, well, you have to move on to the next prospect. So if you've ever had that experience, it's not because there's anything wrong with you. It's just that you haven't been trained in what to do when that happens. So I would say those are the 3 biggies, Joe.
That is awesome. Can anyone resonate with that? If that resonates with you guys, just write yes in the comments below that it resonates with you. I want to make sure that we're on the right path, because I often, people think that, no, for me, it's a different problem. It's a completely different problem. But the problems in sales, there's not that many. Julia really broke it down into 3. Within those 3, there could be hundreds within each one. But the reality is, if you just simplify the issue, you can really attack it and you can do much better. So having a sales process is really important. By the way, does anyone have a written sales process? Yes or no? No means you don't have a sales process. Yes means you do. So if you guys don't have a written sales process, that's because you never took the time to create one, because you didn't have the training that you needed in order for you to create a sales process. So I really want you to...
I don't know about you, but once I created a sales process at Little Pim, my old company, that was what got me out of being the chief salesperson. And I know that as an entrepreneur, we always have to first be the head of sales, right, when we start our company. But as soon as you cannot be the only one selling, right, the faster your business will grow. And there's no way you can train your team in selling if you don't have that written process. Did you have that experience too, Joe, in terms of getting out of being the one doing all the sales in your company?
Not only that, I remember when I was in my mother's store as a teenager, my mother always said, never hire a salesperson. And the reason she said that is because she said, in her mind, if you hired a salesperson and they were better than you, they would end up stealing your business. That was her mindset. So what I decided to do is I wanted all salespeople to be as good as me or even better than me. So when I started Ajax Union, the first thing that I did was I hired a salesperson and I documented what I wanted them to do. So this way, there's no like questions. What do you say when you get on the phone with somebody? How do you know if they're a good potential client? What happens if they say no to you? Like all those things were all written down, and they were coming in the door, they were as good as me or better than me because they were also consistent and they actually followed up. Unlike me, I was busy jumping around with new ideas every day. So
right. They were totally focused on it and they had the right tools to succeed.
So that's why it's so important. Like Julia said, if you want to grow your business eventually, you have to scale. It means you're going to have to hire other people into your own unique process. And that's probably one of the most important reasons to have that. And
Joe, before we get off that slide, if you just go back one, I'm noticing that some people on the call do have a sales playbook or a sales script. That's great. And just so you know, in Sales Cure, we take that and we adapt it and improve it. So the course works for someone without any method at all, or someone who has a method but would like to improve on that method.
Excellent, excellent. So the question I often get is, what if somebody tells me no? What do you do? By the way, I want to know with you guys, what happens when somebody says no to you? If I say, Moshe, I'm not interested in buying. Goldie, I'm not interested in buying. Ben, I'm not interested in buying. Miltz, I'm not interested in buying. Olga, Jan, Anna, Krista, I'm not interested in buying right now. The answer is no. What do you say? Do you basically say, okay? Or do you walk away? Or like, what do you tell people? I often hear most people say, well, thank you for listening to my sales pitch, and they go away. Wow. By the way, it's so easy for me to make a salesperson that doesn't have this type of training go away. All I have to say is no, not interested. And literally they hang up. On the first no, they hang up. Very rarely do I get somebody that actually tries to ask for, like Sarah said, ask for more, or even get permission or any of the stuff. What does Goldie says? I will check it in 2 weeks. Ben says, I thank them and I ask them what the reason may be. Okay, cool. And often by the way, I ask people for reasons all the time. Often I get a reason like, I don't know, I just not interested. I don't know, I'm just not
Joe,
interested.
let me ask you something. Back when you were dating, if a woman who you didn't want to have a second date with asked you, why don't you want to have a second date with me? Would you tell her the truth?
Absolutely not. I would feel terrible. I would feel terrible telling them the truth.
So why do we think that our clients are actually telling us when we ask them, what's the reason you didn't buy? They're not telling you the real reason.
They're not telling you.
It's only when you get the sales training. I only understood that once I got trained in sales and realized, you know what? They're doing their part. That is their part, is to send you away, right? They're trying to protect whatever the status quo is at their company, even if it's not good for them. Even if you know that buying from you is going to bring them another $300,000 in revenues or make them look so good or give them the best possible website if you design websites, whatever it is. But they're just doing their job. And so you need to be better at your job than they are at their job. They're just doing their job.
And just so you know, when somebody says no to you, they're not really saying no to you. It's just a default word that they're using. So if you had the skills and the tools to figure out what that no means without asking them what the no means, because once you ask them, like Julia just said, it's just no one's ever going to really tell you the truth because they think you're going to persuade them or whatever it is that you're going to do. So you really have to understand how to really know what no means so that you can get what you want, which ultimately is to give this person your products and services and actually solve the problem that they have. That's why we're here. We're here to solve problems. So the reality is everyone's going to have objections. They may just not tell you the objections, but everyone's going to have objections, and understanding how to deal with the objections in a adult way, without fighting the person, is going to be really, really important. Moshe
Yeah,
said,
I would say more than even just an adult way, but yes, an adult way is a trained way, right? When I hear a no, I go into a whole line of things that I'm going to do that I wouldn't have known how to do before being trained in sales. I'm waiting for the no, right? In my mind, it's just like, all right, you're doing your job. Of course you're going to say no. And of course, I have these amazing skills to get you past the no. And so a lot of that happens way early in the conversation. That's one of the things I love best about the sales cure, the method we teach, is that you're actually gathering information all the way along that you can use when that no comes up. So that you never have that feeling again of like being blindsided, right? Like, oh, I thought it was going so well, and now they just said no. That goes away once you take our method.
Yeah, once you understand what questions that you need to ask in order to uncover all these things in advance, then you don't end up getting stuck here, right? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. And Anna's asking, does this apply to chat conversations? Most of my sales conversations take place in chats. Oh, fascinating. So the method behind the sales cure is about running your conversation differently with the prospect. It's best done in person. It can be done via other mediums. I haven't had as much experience with that, but I know that my coaching clients who are using the method have used it in all kinds of situations I never would have imagined, including in stores, including via email. So it's a whole framework that really can be applied to just about any medium or situation.
So here's a question that I have for everybody watching this right now. On a scale of 1 to 10, how easy is it, 1 being super easy, 10 being super hard, how easy is it for you to talk about pricing, talk about money? 1 is easy, 10 is hard. How easy is it? Is it easy for you to talk about money? If it's easy, write a 1. If it's hard, write closer to a 10. How easy is it? A lot of people have an issue when it comes to talking about pricing. And it's so funny. Look at this. Olga and Goldie say Jan says it's hard. Talking money is my job, Olga said. Milta said 10, which means it's super hard for her. Okay, cool. Sarah says 2, kind of easy. Goldie says in between. Krista says in between. Ben says super easy. Moses says super easy to talk about money. But a lot of people say, Tammy says 7. Okay, cool. So a lot of people think it's hard talking about money. Why is it hard for some people to talk about money?
I think that all has to do with the mindset, because if you're going into the meeting with the old selling mindset, then it's very transactional, right? You're trying to get someone to buy something from you. With the new way of selling that we teach in the Sales Cure, it's much more of a collaborative conversation where you're sort of problem solving together, so that by the time you get to the money conversation, you know so well what they need and whether your products or services can deliver on that, that it's a conversation more about value and less about transaction.
Cool. So if you can make that shift, your life will change. So what happens if you don't have a sales script? That's what I want to know, because I know most people do not have a script, and a lot of people that have a script don't end up using a script. So what do you think happens? I know, Julia, you see this a lot with people that are totally just winging it. I know that when I wing it, I get consistently inconsistent results when I don't use a script. I just don't know what's going to happen. It's a surprise. I don't even know what's going to happen.
And a lot of people are kind of counting on charm or their ability to cite past clients, like these case studies are somehow going to wow the person so much that they're going to just, pull out their credit card or write a check. When in fact, there are methods for getting someone to a place where they will want to write that check or get out that credit card. But it usually involves a lot of skill and having a script that you've perfected and you practiced, done some role play. That's why, we've built into our program the ability to do role play and to go out and try it out and come back and say what worked and what didn't. And then once you get that right, you close more, your team closes more, your confidence goes through the roof. It's kind of the difference between like going out in your car with no GPS and your phone has no battery and you're just going to drive around until you find, the restaurant that you were looking for. Remember we used to do that in the old days, Joe? Right? Like,
around.
I think it's in this area. And you'd like drive around and sometimes you'd find it in 5 minutes. Sometimes it'd take it a half an hour. Sometimes you wouldn't find it at all. Now we have a GPS. We would never consider trying to drive to a location without that roadmap. That's what it feels like, the difference going from having no script to having a script. It's like driving around with no phone and no GPS or having the roadmap.
I love that. And Goldie asked a question about a sample of a script, and Yitzi said telemarketers use script that are so annoying. So I want to address the annoying part of using a script, because the reason why it's so important for you to actually have a script is so that you can role play. And if you do role play, you won't sound like a robot telemarketer. You'll sound like a natural human. I always tell people the first time that you say something, it sounds super awkward. But the 1,000th time that you say something, if you say something 1,000 times, it's going to just sound natural and roll off your tongue. When I do seminars, after I did the same seminar 100 times, it just basically flows out of me. I don't think about it. I'm busy doing other things while I'm talking, and people are like, how are you so good? And it's because I did it so many times over and over and over and over. But you can't do that without a script, because you don't even know what you're going to say. That's why having a script is so important. And Goldie asked for examples of the script, and we have plenty of examples inside the program, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. But that is one of the most important things to think about, why you actually need the script. And the question is, why is it hard for people to close? Why do people, by the way, guys, in the chat box, tell me right now, why do you think it's hard for most people to actually close deals? Why do you think it's hard to close deals? Let's see. By the way, I even heard a professional webinar teacher. He teaches people how to do these types of webinars really, really well. He said, have a script for your webinar. And if you don't have a script for your webinar, you're not going to even know what to say. That's why we actually prepare a script for the webinar. We prepare a script for our course, and I have to go in and repeat the stuff over and over and over. But why is it so hard for you to close deals? Why do you think it's hard to close deals? So Olga said fear of rejection. That's the mindset part. Okay. What are some other reasons that you're scared? Sarah said rejection. Why are deals just not closing? I communicate with huge companies. Decision making can take 3 to 6 months. That's why it's hard to close deals. Okay, Tara said, I don't want to seem pushy or aggressive. Okay.
And that we hear a lot from people who aren't closing a lot of deals, that they feel like when they're selling that they're being pushy, or they're being, sometimes they even say, out of integrity. It's the part they don't like. And that has a huge impact on how they approach the meeting. So that's why we start with mindset always when we do these sales trainings, so that we can shift people out of that place and into a place where they're super excited to learn the skills and enjoy selling a whole lot more.
And one of the things that I hear from a lot of the clients that I've been able to close over the past couple of months using my script and using my process to qualify and using the objection handling that I've learned and that I've had systems written around that, is that I stand out from the competition because I have a clean-cut way of being to educate my prospects, being able to take people through a journey in a very unique, consistent way every single time. I know what works. I know when I close deals, why I close the deal. So my confidence goes through the roof, and then people can feel that, and you end up not having that fear of rejection because, so it's kind of like saying, oh, mindset is 80%, but having the skill set actually helps your mindset. It's like this weird thing, right?
Yeah, they play off each other. And here's the other thing I love what you said about that, Joe. And it's true that so few people know these new ways of selling, that when you have these skills, you are way ahead of the competitors in your space. Because most people, just like we were saying earlier, they get the no and it's like, oh, okay, no, bye. Whereas when you have these skills, that no is just going to be the beginning of the final part of your conversation that will lead to a yes so many more times. So look, we're probably at a shifting sands point in time here, where eventually people will catch on and everyone will get trained in these skills. But everyone on this call has an opportunity to be, out in front and like an early adopter, the way Joe and I were. We got trained in multiple sales practices that made a huge difference in our mindset and in our approach and our skill set in our business.
So imagine you had all the tools and tactics and optimized your mindset, and you knew exactly what to say when you spoke to people. Do you feel like you'd make more money? Do you feel like you have more confidence? And by the way, I'm sure some of you have missed out at deals because you weren't prepared. How much do you think that deal was worth to you? In the chat box right now, if you've lost a deal in the past that, for me, I lost a deal that was worth $400,000. I remember back in the day before I had the sales training, And when I had to invest $30,000 in training and coaching and guidance and script building and all that, for me it was a no-brainer to spend $30,000 because I knew what I lost. So I want to know, for you, what is it that you, what type of deal did you lose in the past, and how much money did you lose as a result of, what did it cost you as a result of not closing the deal because you
Hey,
didn't have
Joe,
the
while people are thinking about that, I shared that one deal where I hadn't properly qualified the lead and the guy I was talking to, could not make the decision. But there was another one where we had the potential to do business with a national chain. This is when I was at Little Pim. And I had a head of sales who was not trained in these methods. And the way she handled that relationship, we lost this deal that probably could have been worth $1 million. So that was really, really painful. And now I look back, having been trained at all these moments where we approach things in that old school way that was never going to lead to success. We just didn't know it at the time.
By the way, just so you know, when you're dealing with a prospect and you're selling the prospect, you are actually showing them how you run your business. So if you're doing it in a nilly-willy way, what do you think they're going to think about how you're actually going to service them? If they see that you're a true professional and that you know how to follow up and that you know how to speak to them and you know what questions to ask them and you're all prepared and everything that they say you have an answer to, and you literally are feeling confident and happy, the chances of them wanting to go and do business with you is so much higher, because they're like, wow, if they serve me this well on the sales call, could you imagine how well they're going to serve me as a service professional in their business? With Krista, she said she recently missed a $7,000 deal because she didn't properly have this training. Jan said,
Jan had a 30,000 one. Yeah, we feel your pain. We've been there. And I also will say, Joe, that with a lot of people, they're just not sure if they are doing it right. And then that lack of confidence comes through in the relationship, right? Because when you're selling to someone, you're doing business together. It's creating a relationship, and that relationship starts during that sales moment. Funny enough, I've had women buy from me because of the way I handled their objections. That when they started saying, well, what about this and what about that? The way I handled them, they had never been spoken to that way. No one had ever had all these methods of getting past their nose, and that is why they bought from me.
just so you guys know, Julia runs a mastermind group and she helps women get over the $1 million mark. So she works with women in group settings and in one-on-one settings to be able to help women scale. And I personally have met many, many women that she's helped them get their business from a few $100,000 or even from $100,000 all the way past the $1 million mark. So this stuff really, really works. And Julia herself has invested $30,000 in her own sales education, spanning over the course of, I don't know what, 10 years or whatever. And
I think that's conservative. I have a feeling I've spent more than that, but we can start with that number.
And so she simplified it in a very simple 3-step approach that helps you be able to do what you need to do to get successful. And she took all those hours and hours. I personally spent over 100 hours together with Julia on 2 separate weekends at Tony Robbins, over 100 hours learning many of these techniques. And she took everything and put it into a 5-hour class. And you could literally, at your own time, be able to learn all this stuff to become a killer closer. So
and Jay, Joe, I just called you Jay. That was funny. Joe, one of the reasons that I did that is that in my masterclass, $1 Million Women Masterclass, where I help women get to $1 million in revenues, I always say to them, you can't take the sale out of scale, right? They're trying to scale up their businesses, but you have to learn how to sell better. And I was teaching this over and over and over again. And I finally decided, let me put it all into some simple videos, workbooks, so that anybody can learn these incredibly valuable tools and methods. And it's been so much fun to work on it with you now and give people an opportunity to take the class with both of our support.
So there's a method called the CURE method that she trademarked to help other people get more success and actually feel joy when you're doing what you're doing. So whether you're an entrepreneur, a salesperson, a coach, whether you're selling services, whether you're a real estate agent, this course is the course that you need to give you the sales strategy that will pay for itself right away. By the way, CURE is an acronym for the proven sales method that you're going to learn in the course. And having that acronym and using the CURE method is going to not only change your life, but it's going to change your life when you hire salespeople and train them. I failed many times at hiring salespeople. I know many people that failed at hiring salespeople. It's because you didn't give them the training. And when you hire people, they can't know your own unique sales process. They can't know what actually works. So even if you hire a sales trainer, you need to do the work yourself to actually figure out the method that's going to work so that you can teach it to your team and to your colleagues so that everybody could be a killer closer together. And so ultimately, after taking this program, you're going to stop hating sales. You're going to lose the wall that your brain picks up when it comes to sales. You're going to stop cleaning your desk and you're going to make more sales calls. And you're going to learn how to convert a no into a yes. You're always going to have the right thing to say at the right time. You're going to have the right confidence. You're going to close more. You're going to get everyone on your team excited about sales. And ultimately, you're going to learn a lifelong skill that will teach you everything that you need to know in order for you to have a customized sales approach to being successful. And Julia's
and the other piece of it, Joe, is that, I just want people to have more joy, frankly, when they're selling. I mean, when you're doing something you love and enjoy doing, you always do a better job, right? You always bring more to it. It gets better results. So we kind of baked that into the whole sales cure, is like, how do you actually have the feeling of joy, even if that seems so far-fetched right now from where you're sitting when you're selling?
So let me tell you something. If you don't have a script, if you don't have the right way to qualify, if you don't understand your objections, if you've maybe started reading 55 books on sales or maybe even 5 books on sales and you haven't even finished it, or even when you read it, you didn't even know what to do actionably, you didn't have someone holding your hand, or when a potential customer says no to you, you actually believe the customer, or that you even delegated your sales at some point, or you'd like to delegate your sales at some point, then you have to be able to look at what we have to offer here today, because that's going to change your life. Instead of spending the next 10 years trying to figure out or investing $30,000 in sales training, do you want to see a crazy deal that we have for you, that we put together for you? If you want to see the deal, let me know in the chat box that you want to see the deal and I'll show it to you. If not, we can go straight to Q&A and answer questions that you have. If you want to see the deal, I'll show it to you. I just need a couple people to say that they're paying attention. Ben's jumped back in. Okay, so Moshe said yes. Olga said yes. Anybody else? Ben said, let's see it. Anybody else want to see the deal? Okay, I want to make sure that you guys are paying attention, because I know a lot of people start multitasking when it comes to doing a pitch. Okay, Jan said yes. One more yes. Give me one more yes. Give me one more yes. I'll show you guys the deal. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Who's going to be that one more yes? Julia, thank you. Julia's like, let's just do this. All right, so before I show you the pricing, I just want to show you, there are 3 parts to this, okay? And all this is available on the landing page. Part number 1 is mindset. We'll teach you how to shift your beliefs, and we'll show you the number 1 secret to do the mindset shifts that you need in order for you to do what you need to do. Number 2 is we'll show you the cure method, which will show you the how to actually take every single call and do what you need to do, and show you the exact scripts that you need to use. We'll give you the script templates, and we'll actually customize your existing scripts if you need to do that. And of course, part 3 is actually how to close the deal and how to handle objections like a pro, and how to have the pricing conversation and all that. And we have so many people that have taken this course, that have loved it, and that have literally changed their life as a result of taking this course. We're also going to give you 2 bonuses. Number 1, we're going to give you the bonus called Pricing, Speak Up and Shut Up, which will teach you how to actually talk about money in a way that's not going to ruin the deal, because most people ruin the deal right at the end. And then, of course, bonus number 2 is the 3 deadly sins of selling mistakes, which is basically the mistakes that most people make that end up crushing the deal, the 3 most common mistakes. So if you want to be able to do this, which would include the sales mindset, the cure method, the script writing, the objection handling, all that stuff, having the pricing conversation, the 3 deadly sins, and the monthly sales coaching and training that you need to do this, the price for we basically split it in 2. If you want to do it yourself, the $497, it's great. You'll go in there, watch the videos, have all the cheat sheets and frameworks and everything that you need in there, and you can kind of do it yourself. But if you want me and Julia to coach you for 6 months, this is what I would recommend you take, which is the one that's a little more extensive. It's the coaching plus the course. But either way, in order for you guys to be able to get this, you have to get on the phone with me. So let me know if you're interested, and we'll hop on a phone call just to see if this is right for you. And just let me know that you're interested in a phone call, and we'll set up a quick call together. Just say you're interested, and I will.
I have a feeling that if they do the call with you, they're going to learn something no matter what, because you're going to take them through a series of questions that's going to help them to identify where their pain points are. So I would say do the call no matter what. You've already invested this amount of time in learning about our method and how we can help you. And just getting on that call with Joe, I know a lot of people who've gotten coaching from Joe, just get such tremendous value. Some of you may already be getting coached from Joe. Half an hour with Joe, man, that's worth thousands. So I would take it. He doesn't offer this every day.
So Isaac asked a question. Can you share those 3 parts again? Of course. Maishi said, I'm in. These are the 3 parts. Let's see. These are the 3 parts over here. Part number 1 is mindset. Part number 2 is the cure method. And part number 3 is how to become a killer closer. So let me see what happens over here. And of course, how are you going to have time to do this? By the way, people often ask me, Joe, how do you have time? How do I make time? How do I make time? How do I make time? If you join the coaching component, we're going to have monthly accountability and coaching meetings that will literally help you get it done. Ben said, I'm in for a call. Let's see. Tammy said, okay. Maishi said, I'm in. Okay, good. In for a call. Anybody else in for a call? If you're in for a call, let me know. Videos are super short and to the point. They're really, really easy to listen to, and the frameworks are easy to fill out. So I highly recommend you guys hop on a phone call with me. Frameworks are easy to fill out. Let's see. Anybody else want to do a call? Somebody said, how do I justify investing money in sales training? Oh,
that's such a no-brainer. I don't think I can even answer that. I mean, Joe and I have each invested thousands and thousands of dollars into our own training, and that's why we built multi-million-dollar businesses. I don't think I know one multi-million-dollar business owner who hasn't invested money in coaching and training. It's the best money to invest because it comes back to you tenfold.
And so people ask us often, how do I know that this is going to work? How do I know that once I have the skills and the mindset for sales that it's actually going to work? And what I always tell people is don't take our words for it. Speak to the dozens of people who have taken the course and created massive results from it. And on the landing page, we have all their contact info, like you can find them really, really easy. So by the way, this sales training is not for everybody. That's why I want to make sure that I get on the phone with you. So if you have a fixed mindset or you don't want to learn and grow, don't invest in this. But if you actually want to learn and grow and you're hungry and you want to have that script and you want to be able to build up your confidence, to be able to speak to anybody and have joy from doing sales, this is what you need. So if you're in, do me a favor, set up a call with me. If you can't find the link for whatever reason, you could always email us info@socialsellin.com. There's no G in Sellin, and we'll be happy to get you on the call. Once again, the way to sign up a call is ajaxunion.com/talk-to-Joe, and I'll be happy, and my calendar is available over there, and I'll be able to talk to you. If you want to find out more.
When we take on this first group, we're going to really hold their hands and help them make sure that they know how to adopt this new method, implement it, but we don't have room for, 100 people. So this is going to be a pretty small, tight group. If you're interested in getting started right away, even though it's summer, we've worked out our vacations around this so that we can be available for you and help you get these skills so that when the fall hits and everything is, back running like gangbusters again, you'll have a whole new set of skills to be able to close twice as many deals as you would have closed before you knew these methods. So maybe just do a little mental math if you're worried about investing, and I totally get that. I've hired so many coaches and done so many programs, and the mental math I always did was, well, if I was closing twice as many deals, what would that be worth to me monetarily, right? If a deal is only worth $500 to you, then maybe closing twice as many deals is only going to be worth another couple thousand. But if one deal is worth 10,000 or 30,000, or Joe and I shared situations where it was worth 400,000, or in my case, the $1 million deal I lost, then that is really the math you need to be doing. It's like, am I willing to invest under $2,000 in order to learn a set of skills that I can use for a lifetime and that will help me close better right away?
And it will help. And that will help you train people as well. Like once you have these skills, you can train other salespeople to do what they need to do in order to help you succeed. And that's really the idea. So, awesome. All right, cool. So if you guys want to learn more, go to sales-cure.com. And I hope to see you guys soon. Now, if anybody has any questions about sales or about this program, we're happy to answer them now for the next couple minutes. But we're going to have to hop off in like 2 or 3 minutes. So do me a favor and let me know what you guys think. Olga said, woohoo. Thank you, Julia, Tammy. It's very informative. By the way, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much value did you get out of this today? 1 means you got no value. 10 means you got amazing value. Go ahead and tell me how much value you got out of this. Tammy said 10. Thank you, Tammy. Olga said 10. Jan said 10. Guys, rate us right now so we know how much value we got out of it. Ben said 7. Milsa said 10. Krista said 10. Heshi said, thanks, Joe and Julia. Guys, appreciate you being part of this. If you guys have any sales questions or need anything, we are here to serve you. So remember that. Whatever you need, we are here to serve you. Maishi, thank you so much for that beautiful 9. I appreciate that. And I look forward to seeing you guys online. By the way, if you guys haven't seen the 30-day video challenge, go check it out. So excited that many of you that I see on this right now are part of the 30-day video challenge on LinkedIn. So excited. And I'm so excited to see all you guys at the next webinar. Talk to you guys soon.
This was great. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Julia, bye.
Bye.